All right, joining me now to break down some early best bets for week three's college football action and to discuss the fallout from week two is our guy, Brad Powers. Brad, how are you today?
Hey, doing all right. Would sure like the best bets to be doing better, but another week, another opportunity to hopefully win some money.
Yeah, a little bit of a slow start, but it is a long season. Okay, so let's start like we always do on your Monday appearance here. Your biggest takeaways from the weekend that was in college football.
Well, we could start with the biggest game, Oklahoma, Michigan, but we'll talk about that in a minute. I think that the biggest takeaway is from one particular game, that being South Florida outright upsetting Florida as an 18-point underdog. Not only from a Group of Five perspective, considering South Florida's already got a big time win over Boise State, it's their second straight win over a ranked opponent. And they are by far the leader in the clubhouse when it comes to the playoff as far as getting that one spot for the G5. They have the highest projected win total of any G5 team now. They'll be a dog this week. We'll talk about that game in a minute. But they're going to be, after this week, they'll be favored in their last 9 games. So South Florida clearly the leader there. On the flip side, Florida's in big trouble. Toughest schedule in the country. Going to be an underdog in at least 5-6 more games. Likely right now on paper. Games aren't played on paper, but looks like their head coach is going to be maybe the first one fired. There's other things. There's no dominant team. I think we'll be talking Illinois in a couple weeks. I think Illinois is the most overrated team in all of college football, a team that's in the top 10 of the AP poll. I don't even have in the top 25 in my power rating.
Okay, let's take a look at the top of the odd or the Heisman odds board, as there has been a little bit of a shakeup here. John Mateer is a new favorite over at DraftKings. Carson Beck off to a good start. Some people are down on him coming into the season. He's at third. Garrett Nussmeier in the mix as well. Do you expect Mateer and Beck to still be in the mix near the top of the Heisman odds board towards the end of the season?
Well, I would like there to be a no on John Mateer because I would be interested in betting it. No, I do not
Ooh.
think John Mateer will be there at the end when it's all said and done. And keep in mind, the Heisman is, a majority of the time, obviously last year being the exception with Travis Hunter, is kind of a team award. If you look at the average wins during the regular season for the teams the Heisman winners on, they average in the regular season about 11 wins per season. So it's usually the best player on one of the best teams. Right now, I even with the big win over Michigan, I have Oklahoma still finishing the season 8-4. It's a really tough schedule. Miami and Carson Beck, I think he'll still be up there in the mix just because I think Miami's, a legit playoff contender, a team that's capable of winning at least 10 games. So I think Carson Beck right now looks like he'll be finishing in the top 5. I don't like either yet. I think it's to be determined. And keep in mind, the Heisman's turned into, who's hot. So you can probably ask me this question 2 months from now, and then I'll tell you whoever performs the best in the biggest games in November is usually what matters.
Okay, let's talk Clemson. Off to a rough start here this season. Of course, they opened their season losing to LSU at home, only scored 10 points in that game. They followed that up, an ugly win over Troy. They only outgained them by 15 total yards, despite being favored by 30.5 points. They were also down 16-3 at one point. Now, as a result of this, people were high on Clemson coming into the season, right? Including odds makers. They're now plus 125 to make the playoff. Do you think this is a good buy low spot or just a complete stay away?
It's a stay away for me because I mean they were dominated more than the final scoreboard against LSU. That's a game they should have lost by 14 to 17 points. And you look what LSU did the very next week. Wasn't that impressive? And then on top of it, okay, after a big game, you expect them maybe not to be firing on all cylinders. Although getting embarrassed at home, you would think they'd be more inclined to want to atone for that performance. Other than them, if they were coming off a big win against LSU, then you'd really expect maybe a flat performance. Well, in the case, like you mentioned, you're a 30-point favorite. You're getting beat by double digits. Troy is an average Group of 5 team at best, probably even a below average Group of 5 team. So I've downgraded their power rating significantly. And this isn't a team that we were betting on upside. We were betting on Clemson because of their production. Number one returning production in the country, the experience at quarterback, all across the roster. So this isn't a young team trying to find themselves. This is a proven team that has multiple years of experience, and it looks like they don't have it. So stay away this week. I like Georgia Tech this week, and I think Georgia Tech's live in the game to beat Clemson.
Ooh, okay. Okay, so 2 games in for most teams, 3 for some. Have you changed your mind positively or negatively on some teams or players at this point of the season?
Well, let's be honest. I've been wrong way more than right so far. However, it's early. And let's be frank, most teams have played, at least at the top of college football, one, if not two, tomato cans. So we're reacting to, spreads of 4 touchdowns plus for a lot of these teams, if they look good or not. Maybe they're just, saving a little bit bullets in the chamber. But I can tell you, Oregon was a team not only me, but the market did not like this offseason. There were some major question marks. They didn't return much. The quarterback, they were going from a very experienced quarterback the last few years to a guy that hasn't proven much. Well, you can't control who you play once the schedule is set. You can control how you play, and they've looked as impressive as any team in the country, particularly last week against Oklahoma State. They are playing a Power 4 team, and they treated them like a below average FCS team and what they did to the Cowboys. So they right now, Oregon would be number one in my power ratings. If there's a player we already talked about him, Cade Klubnik. You asked me, hey, if there's one quarterback 2 weeks ago, can you have in college football? And I told you Cade Klubnik, and I mean he's been a bum, a total bust. And this was a kid that got better with each year and just hasn't been so far. It is only 2 weeks though. I mean, there could be. You could ask me this question in 2 weeks, and I'd come right back to where I was in the summer on some of these teams.
Okay, a lot of hype surrounding Bryce Underwood coming into the game there on Saturday night, and he did not deliver. He completed 9 passes on 24 attempts. Pretty tough game situation, though. His first big game on the road versus a serious opponent. They were an underdog. Do you give him a bit of a pass, or do you see some big red flags there?
No, I give him a pass. I thought in Michigan, my expectation, and it looked like Michigan's expectation was that he'd win the line of scrimmage in the game. Didn't happen. So it was a very conservative game plan. They probably thought they could run on him a little bit. They did in some spots, particularly the run to open up the second half. But other than that, it was disappointing. I'm more disappointed in what's around him, whether it's the wide receivers, whether it's the offensive line, whether it's the new offensive coordinator, because to me, that game plan looked a lot like last year when they had, Make-A-Wish kids playing at quarterback. You've got a 5-star kid, a generational type talent, the highest rated recruit in the history of Michigan football. I mean, the expectation this year was you'd kind of be like a 9-3 type of team. This was a national title or bust. Let him rip it. I mean, if he throws 3-4 picks, then so be it. Throw the football down the field. He's got the arm to do it. I just thought it was a conservative game plan. It was kind of let's keep the game close kind of thing. And I didn't like it.
Okay, it is now time for Brad's best bets. We got 3 of them. Let's rip right through them here. Let's start things off with Pittsburgh. They're favored by 4.5 against West Virginia. Wins of 52-28 on the season so far. And you like them to keep rolling here.
I do. It's a rivalry game. They're favored on the road. So, people are going to be like, uh-oh, here we go. But it's more of not a play on Pitt. It's a play against West Virginia. I broke down their Ohio tape from last week. West Virginia got upset by Ohio. If you watch the game, you'd be like, that didn't look like an upset. In fact, it was a shock that Ohio didn't beat West Virginia by more than 7. Ohio threw 3 interceptions in the second half, still beat West Virginia, outgained West Virginia by 200 yards. New coach, a lot of hype because of Pat McAfee's guy, Rich Rodriguez back at West Virginia. But it's not about X's and O's and excitement. It's about Jimmy's and Joe's, and they don't have any right now at West Virginia in year 1. So Pitt goes on the road, takes care of business in a big way here against West Virginia. We'll lay the 4.5.
Let's go. Okay, next up, the eyes of the world will be on the Battle of Carolina here, Brad. East Carolina, they're favored by 6.5 against Coastal Carolina, and you like the favorite.
I do. Another road favorite. So not, people are going to roll their eyes there, but this line's definitely going up. You got a East Carolina team that's surpassed expectations, that being the point spread easily in each of their first 2 games. Could have beaten NC State outright in the opener. And we know that. We liked NC State in the game right here on this show. And then last week, just demolished an FCS opponent. Speaking of FCS opponent, Coastal Carolina played one last week, a bad FCS team in Charleston Southern. It's 3-0 entering the fourth quarter. This is a Coastal team with a brand new roster, new quarterbacks that are really struggling. East Carolina, let's lay the 6.5. This line's going up.
Okay, let's wrap things up with the Miami Hurricanes off to a strong start this season, 2-0. 16.5-point favorite taking on South Carolina, and you like the Hurricanes to keep rolling.
Yeah, it's against South Florida, the team that's all the buzz in college football. So you're thinking, well, how can you lay 16.5 points with Miami against South Florida, who just beat Boise State, who just beat Florida? I think it's a horrific spot for a roster that's not built to play 3 straight tough games in a row. The Boise game, Obviously, South Florida was the right side. They won by 27 as an underdog. However, the box score said that they got outgained in the game. They benefited from a bunch of turnover luck. Last week, clearly the right side. They're an 18-point underdog, won outright, but it was Florida who's making absolutely, boneheaded decisions late in the game that allowed South Florida to win the game outright. Now, a third straight week fully has Miami's attention here. And let's just compare point spreads. Last week, Florida's favored by 18. Guess what? Miami is better than Florida, and they're laying less of a number. Another point spread here. The whole object of the Monday show is get in front of line moves. This line's closing 17 or more. Let's lay 16.5.
All right, let's go Canes. Okay, Brad, we will leave it at that. Of course, Brad will be right back with us on Thursday, maybe add a couple of best bets, and we will break down the biggest games of the week. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you are subscribed to the Covers YouTube channel. Brad, thank you very much for joining. We'll catch you again on Thursday.
Thanks for having me.